And welcome back. This is almost like series 2 of Across the Indiverse. It's been a bit of a hiatus for it because we've been working on some other things like the crowdfunding interviews and also the tabletop role-playing book club with the lovely Nicholas Rubinho of the Ravens Ridge. You should check out those videos on the Indiverse.io channel. They'll be either down below or plenty of playlists for them, so you can't miss out. Some really cool stuff coming out now, and got some more cool stuff coming in the future. But that's for then, and this is for now. Today, we have a very special guest, like every guest, very, very special. A creator of many, many years now, working a lot in the 5e system and just building a lot of like really interesting additional bolt-on books. So, like you talk about like brewing beers, which I mean, big fan. It's a little early in the morning for us, but if we were at an appropriate time, definitely would have had a beer for promoting that side of things on the screen for now. I am joined by the lovely Glen from Every Tricks Books. How you doing today, mate?
Yeah, not bad yourself. Thanks for having me.
We'll get started. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Glen. How did you get into game creating? What's inspired you to get into here, and what's helped you get here so far?
Yeah, so I've been playing tabletop role-playing games for many, many years. Started with 4th edition D&D, moved into 5th edition. I've dabbled in a few other systems out there as well. Probably about 6 years ago, I was looking for a way to stay awake in the middle of the night while rocking my young baby back to sleep. So just doom scrolling on my phone, I started writing down some notes for a book idea I had. So it was way back then called the Central Market. I put it together mostly at those wee hours of the morning type stuff, put it up on DM's Guild, said if I make a sale or 3 sales, I'll be ecstatic. Went to bed, woke up the next day, had 50 sales overnight, and that was it. I was hooked from there. So yeah, since then it's been a dark rabbit hole. I've dived right into it and released a whole bunch of books since then. And we've just started even spinning off from D&D and doing some other type of books as well. So
So, what additional systems are you looking to sort of branch out into now that 5e sort of like been, I guess, not moved to the wayside, but you can focus on other things?
yeah, so still doing a lot of 5e content, but we've released a book last year called Worlds of Pure Imagination, which is a solo journaling game aimed at kids 7 plus that we have had people tell us to run as young as 4 years old with a bit of parents' help. The whole idea is using a standard deck of cards, you lay them out in a grid and you flip over a card. It gives you a prompt, and it's all about taking your astronaut on a journey through space. Each prompt is related to an emotion. So it might be along the lines of you come across a spaceship in outer space, it's run out of fuel. The aliens inside are feeling very sad. How do you help out? Type of a thing. And by the end of it, the kids who have doing it have actually written a short story. So it's all these little short prompts. They write 2 to 3 sentences, answers to them, and eventually they find the Ace of Hearts, which is your goal card. You've made it to wherever your destination is, and they've written a couple pages of a short story together. It was something we put together for our kids, and they loved it. We put it into a book form and kind of then started selling it at conventions and online. It was always got a really good reception. So we've about a month ago, we've released a sequel called Lands of Pure Imagination, which is fantasy based instead of sci-fi. And that's been pretty well received as well. So we're working on yet another sequel at the moment, which is a bit more goosebumpy theme type of a thing.
Ooh, yes.
So yeah, so that's been really good. We've got a few other bits of work and thing, but still working 5e as our primary book business at the moment.
Yeah, fabulous, fabulous. Is it when you talk about solo journaling, it's something that I've really gotten into the last couple of years, thanks to the lovelies at the Ravens Ridge Emporium. Hope you're having a good day, Nick. And you, Brandon, Jesse, the whole crew. Um, so what inspired going from such a well-structured system and well-known system to something completely on your own? Was there like a certain inspiration or like a pivoting point you were like, I want to do something that's mine?
So there's a couple of different things. I started getting a bit more into solo journaling games myself, like the Raven Ridge. I've got Cartographer on the shelf above me at the moment,
Yep.
plus a few other games out there. Delivered by Cage was another really good one, which is
Ooh,
a
okay.
sci-fi one that kind of got me into that whole area. I also at the time was working on a kids-based RPG because I wanted something that wasn't about fighting. All the kids' games seem to be fighting monsters or doing some sort of combat or
Yep.
that type of stuff, but which is great for a bit your older kids, but younger kids, it's not a big thing to do that all that violent games.
Mm,
So
mm.
I started working on a um, game system that was kind of a bit more rescue based or solving helping people. It never really found its direction that I wanted. So I ended up pivoting it into a bit of a solo journaling game,
Mm.
and it just worked so well. So
Okay.
combined a couple of different interests at the time, and they said we play tested it with a bunch of kids, our own, plus their friends, plus a few others. It was just well received. So I think it's a good avenue, and it especially helps those kids. They don't need to get people together to play it. They can kind of grab the book, sit down at the dining room table, and just with a deck of cards, mum and dad can help set it up, and then they're off. So they're usually happy for a while playing by themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I like that that aspect of like that independence to do creative space when the kids do get a little bit older, but still having the ability to facilitate like parents coming in for those who either just learning to write or haven't even started learning about like the alphabet letters, and like it lets that like it's a nice, easy, and fun way to sort of start getting that education piece across before kindergarten or school. That's awesome. That's so good.
Funny enough, at conventions when I've demoed it, one of the biggest people that stop and actually end up picking it up or having a good chat about it is teachers. They love it
Yes.
because it's a
Yeah.
way to bring creative writing and make it a game. It's
Mhm.
gamifying creative writing into the classroom. So we've given out copies of those, and then they can more than happy for them to photocopy and print out and share around classrooms and stuff. I had a really good feedback from that because it's a bit of a fun game to do during creative writing classes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It gives like I think one of the big things when it comes to solo playing in games, solo role playing or journaling games is like how you prompt well. And I can imagine that there's a similar block or issue that you could face in the classroom where you're trying to inspire, 20 to 30 kids to do something creative that you don't have to put all that legwork in, where you can focus on just how you're like facilitating it rather than having to write, 15, 20 prompts to get there, like making that gamified space. I even think there'd be great capacity for it to be like a entire class based or like little group based sort of like adventuring system. So you're having one kid at a time sort of create bits of narrative, and they can sort of like pass it around together to find out like how they go through the crazy jaunt of 3 to 5 brains all coming up with the same environment. That would be ooh, really, really fun. And I think I agree in that, like, as much as we enjoy the combat element of most role playing games, well, most of the ones I've seen anyway, there's like some sort of like conflict or combat base where you're fighting. It is hard to find something to replace that pillar of a game. Like it's a part of the game that people come for. They know about like D&D, slinging fireballs, swinging swords, being a barbarian. Like it's all those things that come with the hobby. And I have only seen maybe one or two games that really do well in that environment. So a great choice to like pivot around. Again, that creative writing, everyone loves to have that sort of space to like help kids, I guess, one, get away from the screens. I've been a big advocate for those in the scene. But getting into that like analog writing and creative, using their brains a lot, like, and not feeling like, oh, you've got to do your homework chores. Like, yeah, okay, I really like it. We've done some deep dive into you and the creative work that you've done. Where can people find you? Like online, you do social media? Do you have your own site? Where can people go to find all the great stuff you're putting out there?
So I'm pretty shocking at social media. I do have probably the most active on Instagram, but I am on Blue Sky and technically Facebook, which is just a copy of whatever posted to Instagram. But yeah, Junior Blue Sky, Instagram is the best place to catch us. I have our own website, so you can catch us at everytrickbooks.com. That's where all our main publications go out. The best way to get news and updates from us is our newsletter. I find newsletters are still the best king because we own that. We're not reliant on the algorithm to tell us whether it will post will succeed or not. And I try and keep that down to about once a month of a newsletter going out of here's our latest updates, here's where we're going to be, here's new products coming out. Always try and throw in a free magic item or a creature for D&D as well to actually make it worth reading. But apart from that, we've got our own online store as well, which is linked to the website, and we're now on Drive Through RPG. I've got one or two little games on Itch, and now Indieverse as well, of course.
Good. But yes, let's talk about drive through. I've heard lots of mixed things from creators in the role playing space. How's your experience been over there?
Mixed. Overall, it's been good though. I will give them credit. They do allow someone to come in with very little experience or very little know-how and get a product out there. The big winner for me was their print on demand options. A lot of companies, if you go directly to printers to print on demand, there's a lot of upfront costs in getting proofs organized, getting things set up on their accounts. With drive through, once you've got your PDF up there, the drive through team actually do a lot of that vetting for you as part of their costs.
Okay.
So they they cover that. And once it's been approved, it gets off. You just have to pay for your one proof copy. Once you got that, you've proved it looks all okay, which most of the time it doesn't. You always find spelling errors. You have to go and order a second copy.
Yep.
But then once that proof copy's been okay by both yourself and the drive-through team, you can just put it on sale and people can start buying physical print copies of your book, which was massive. I started with DM Skill, which is a subset of drive-through. A lot more limitations around that. You're not allowed to do print on demand unless you've sold 1,000 copies of your book, and
Okay.
even then, you can only sell the print copies through their website. So, with drive-through, I set the contents up, I make it print on demand, but I also order those print on demand copies for myself to sell at conventions or at bookstores and things like that, which means it's a very low cost barrier to enter the market to get physical copies. I'm a massive fan of having a physical copy book, which means I can order it. The margins are a bit slimmer when you're doing print on demand because you're doing such small runs.
Hmm.
However, it still means I can take books to conventions, which is one of my favorite things to do. So,
Yeah.
the drive-through website, the back end, especially the publisher side, is really, really dated.
Yeah.
It can be a bit clunky. There's a lot of tricks I've had to pick up over the years of dealing with it and how to get things to work that aren't so obvious the first time you go through it. But again, the counterpoint to that is the support staff are really good, so I can't fault them for that. So it's a mixed bag. If you're looking to get into the market and get into doing 5e content or even other tabletop role playing content, it's a good starting point, particularly if you're looking for print on demand.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. How do you feel the reception is like when you put a new product out there? Obviously, you had a great result for your the first book, 50 and overnight. I don't think there's many people who are starting out who could have that sort of success story. So, congrats on that. Very, very big. But how do you find like the consistency after that first one? Is it very much the same because people have found you as like a creator that they want to follow? Is the audience usually the same size for most stuff that you put out?
Not so much. I am yet to replicate that level of success without a lot of other work put into it. I think there was a couple factors of my price point was initially incredibly low for that first book I put out. I think it was $1 Australian I put it up for,
Yep. Yep.
which again, I didn't know what to do. I thought it was not a great product because it's my first one. So I thought, I'll put it up for $1. If I make a sale, I'm happy type of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That said, I haven't done any products that cheap since because there is time and cost of money that goes into them. And you need to value your own time. You don't work for
Yeah.
free.
No. No.
Um, and then again, as you build a bit of a following on drive-through, you do have some tools to be able to email previous customers and say, hey, I've got a new content out. I have no idea who those customers are. All that stuff is hidden from you. You can just push the button and it goes out and you say, hey, you sent it out to 400 people. Okay, don't know who they are, but they've all got their mail if they've signed up or to be allowed to be contacted. So it does help a bit. I think the big breakthrough after that first one was moving to Kickstarter. That was another big leap in, and that allowed me to build my own following and user base because then I do have those email addresses. I do have an email subscription group on my newsletter. I can contact people directly. So again, drive-through is like other social media platforms. There's a layer in between you and the customer that you can't really control all the time. But again, if you're just starting out, it is a great way to get print products out there.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. I like that. And I guess from drive-through's perspective, they probably don't have like there's probably licensing or something they have to like get approved for to be able to hold and be able to send out that information to you as a vendor. I'm not
Of
really sure
course.
how that all works, but I'm sure that there's some legal reasons why they don't give out that. So you mentioned going to Kickstarter. How many how many games, books have you put through the Kickstarter pages?
So we've done 2 Kickstarters so far, and we're working on a third at the moment, which hopefully will be up in the next month or 2. But the first one we took out was Vendors of the Vale, which was our 30 shops you'll find on the road. That was done as a partnership with a creator from the Netherlands. He actually released a product called, I'm going to say it was a source book, a world building platform that was based in the Vale. I'm going to quickly look it up because it's bugging me now.
You're right. You're
Um,
right.
but essentially, it was an add-on for him. He kind of reached out and started to look for other creators to do products in his world, in his setting. And I pitched him the idea of doing some shops. The book was initially meant to be about 30 pages, ended up at 130 pages.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's scope creep, the book. sorry, Tim Van Dalen was the name of the creator over there. So he reached out to basically, yeah, we want to build people into our world. And I said, yeah, I'm happy to do it. So in return for doing that, he offered a whole bunch of mentorship and coaching and some cross promotions and stuff. So I
Awesome.
released this book. Yeah, and it worked really well because I was able to leverage his Kickstarter followers and backers before to help promote it. He got more content for his setting, which was great, and it worked out really well for both people. That was our first Kickstarter, and that allowed me to build a bit of a following there. We then released Bruno Barleybeard's Big Book of Brewing, which was our beer-based one. And because I had a bit of a following from the previous Kickstarter and from other products I got there, we launched that one on our own. It went really well. It's a super niche book. It was something I made more for myself than I think for anyone else because I loved home brewing beer. I love playing D&D. So I combined the two hobbies together, released this book, which has the 50 magical beers, enhances the beer brewing rules for the game D&D, beer brewing related subclasses, and I even threw 10 homebrew recipes in the back of the book so you can make the
Oh,
magical beers to drink with you while you're actually playing the game.
amazing.
Um, yeah, so and that went well, better than I expected, I'll be honest. There was a lot of people out there who like beer and a lot of people like D&D apparently, so it worked pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's a great cross. I think many tables I've been to in my time have had both present at the table. Like, yeah, no, it makes perfect sense to me. Who doesn't enjoy a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday evening game with a quiet beer? It's just, it's too nice, too good, and the social lubrication, as they call it, just only makes the night go better.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
more chaos to throw into the game, and we're all about that. We're all about that.
Yeah, but as a whole, Kickstarter is really good. I think there's a lot of the fear of missing out with people when it comes to Kickstarters.
Mm,
I've
mm.
released adventures with all the same followers before on straight directly to drive through on my website and stuff, and gotten a fraction of the followers. You throw it in Kickstarter, and everyone suddenly seems to get a lot more interested in it. So it's a good marketing tool, and it
Mm.
does help me get a bit of funding behind me to go and pay for lovely local artists to do cover designs for me and interior art, which is awesome.
I do want to pick your brain on that difference and like an opinion, if you have one, on those two environments and the difference on them. But the first question I have to ask is, what's your favorite beer that you've put into the books? I'll say
Uh,
for in game, and then the favorite recipe as well. Put you on the spot.
Okay, so if you give me 2 seconds, I will
Yeah,
bring up the actual book because I forget what I've called it in the book.
it's okay.
It's gone through a whole bunch of iterations before it made it to the actual book itself.
Hmm.
So there was a 2 seconds, sorry.
You're right. You're right.
Um, there's a bunch of the beers in there have been inspired by real life things, which is always good fun. There it is.
Yeah.
Um, So for example, one of the beers in there, I think I call it the Flagons Ale or something like that. There's a group here in Perth called Dungeons and Flagons that meet at a pub once a month to play D&D. It's
Yeah.
always one shots. There's no recurring. You can take the same character between one shots, but it's always just one shot. You sit down. So if you rock up, you've never played D&D before, you can join in, or if you have played D&D before, you can play the same character each time. Um, there's it's just good fun. So I made a beer in that, and I called it the Flagons Ale, and which was always good fun. I think I put along the lines of, yeah, one of the extra magical items you need to put in is a set of polyhedral gaming gems, and
Oh,
like
okay.
the magical effects is like anyone who consumes this beer finds themselves welcoming to strangers and eager to make new friends, and you gain +1 checks to require gaming sets. So it was just a little
Ah,
nod to those types of to the people that I play test a lot of my stuff through, if I'm being honest,
yeah.
as well as doing a whole bunch of just playing good games. They're awesome people. There was a beer in it which I brewed a few years back for friends of ours. They got married. They got engaged in New Zealand. So I made a beer based of New Zealand hops from the region where they got engaged. We then took that beer, brewed it for their wedding. So we put it on tap at their wedding, which was awesome.
Oof,
They threw it in a local homebrew competition. It was picked up by a local brewery. I ended up making
wow.
4,000 liters of it with them. So we
Oh,
took it to a bunch of beer festivals. And that recipe is actually in the game. It's hidden in as one of the magical beers, but it's also got the homebrew recipe in the back of the book as well. So that one's got a lot of meaning, I guess, to me, one of my favorite beers to have in the actual game itself.
yeah, wow. That's awesome. That's such a great story for it as well, especially like the opportunity to then take that and share that. Like, it's one of the things that we love most about just tabletop games in general, let alone role playing, because they are designed mostly for that, like bringing people together kind of deal. Having that in both facets of what you've put together there, that's got to feel really good. It's got to feel great.
Yeah, it's. I'm a huge fan of it. Everything's got to have a story, right? And I think that's why we find ourselves playing D&D and things like that. Is if it's got a story, people connect with it a lot more than just, yeah, it's a beer, it's a lager, it's a pale ale. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. But to have that story, like I just said, then it's like people go, yeah, okay, I can really get this, and it's really cool to hear the story behind it, and yeah, it's just
Gives
good
that
fun.
life, bit of substance to it. Like it's not,
Yeah,
like you said, it's not just like another beer on the shelf. Like it's got some vibrance to it. Makes people excited, and
yeah,
like they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to take this to my next game. So like, just so they can tell the story again. It's almost like bringing a new game to the table. Like you want to share the experience you've had or the little bit of knowledge that you've had, so you can do that in like both facets at the same time. Like, yeah, I love that. I love that. Oh, so good.
yeah. And we've also got the magical unicorn ale, which has edible glitter in it, so it just sparkles when you drink it. That's always good fun too, and that recipe's in there too, so you can
Oh,
go make glittery
fabulous.
beer.
Fabulous, fabulous. I play with a couple of people who have mustaches and beards like yourself. I'm totally gonna make that. I want to see some glittery mustaches and like the handlebars and stuff the next time I'm gonna play. Oh, that would be bliss. Oh dear. Yeah, want to circle back to that Kickstarter vibrance and in that post environment, because this is one of those things that we see a lot in the creative space, whether it's making tabletop games, whether it's making role playing games. There is that big hype that comes from a Kickstarter campaign. How much of that have you seen translate to just your regular store, to like that post into that normal retail environment? Did you see like a spike of your other books going out or other content going out when you were running a Kickstarter for like a specific book? Did you see a spike after the campaigns? How does that look for you?
Not really, if I'm being honest. The Kickstarter is the big spike. I also, with my Kickstarter, do add-ons to the campaign. We can order any of our previous books and stuff. I'd make those books get a lot more attention through Kickstarter add-ons than they do from the independent stores or my web store or anything like that. So Kickstarter is a massive push for that.
Mm-hmm.
The spike that does come after tends to be more of, hey, I've released this new book, and then I'll take it to a convention.
Yep.
And then people go, hey, yeah, this was on Kickstarter and it was successfully funded in 12 hours or whatever else it might be. And people then give it a second look, like, actually, this must be worth something. So they'll pick it up and have a flick through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about the big translation from Kickstarter to real life, I guess you could say, for follow on afterwards. But otherwise, there's very little follow through. People will tend to wait to the next Kickstarter and then they'll go back and order a back catalog or something like that from the Kickstarter itself.
Okay, okay. I just had never had it happen before. Do Kickstarter allow you to have add-ons for books that you haven't crowdfunded through them, or is it you can only put the stuff in that you've got
No.
through? Okay.
So for both of mine, the primary book was the one, and we did like a PDF only, a soft cover and a hardcover. I'm a big fan of hardcovers, but they are a bit more expensive, and I know some people just want a physical book, so we still put the soft covers in there a bit cheaper.
Hmm.
And then I'll also do a couple bundles where you get that book plus all the PDFs, or that book plus all the previous books in hardcover as well. And then at the very end, you can kind of do the add-ons, like here's our previous, if you just want this one adventure in PDF or this one adventure in hardcover, and we'll add those two options. And I get surprisingly amount of sales through that for those books. So some of those books, for example, like the Breakout from on the side of me, Blood Moon Bay here, that one we released it did got mediocre response initially through Drive Through RPG, but when we released Vendors of the Veil, we put it in there as an add-on, and we got a bunch of sales for that. But
Okay.
again, it's one of those things we'll go, I'm already buying it, I'm already paying for shipping, particularly in Australia, which is a bit pricey.
Yeah.
It's not much more to add another book to the bundle and just get a few more things. And it's always nice when you get a big package arrived from Kickstarter at the end of the month and it's got everything, all these wonderful books in it.
Yeah, yeah, I know that feel. I've got a. It's been a long time since I backed much on crowdfunding as a whole, because I've done a game found and a Kickstarter recently, um, and I think it was mainly because for a long time, I not that I fell out of like the tabletop hobby or anything like that, but I have a couple of friends that back so many games, and I never felt like I was like, I need to find something new to bring to the table. I know that these like three or four are going to be bringing something really new, or something like fresh from Kickstarter every time. I'm very tempted to grab the Beer Brewing book from yourself, because I'm like, oh, I haven't done that in many years myself. You caught me at the right age, mid-30s. I'm like, oh, well, I'm either going to buy a smoker or I'm going to get into beer brewing. And I think I've
Yeah,
already got a smoker, so I guess I'm going to take the other side of the hobby.
that's it. Everyone kind of you reach that mid 30, late 30s, and you've either got to get into wargaming, smoking, or like you said, beer brewing. Yeah,
Uh,
pick one of those three classes in your late life to go follow through, or if you're really like most of us, you go all three because why
yeah,
not?
yeah. I don't have well, no one judges, but I don't have the confidence in self to do painting of minis just yet. Maybe I'll get into it and dip into it at some point. But honestly, I think I prefer creating tabletop role playing experiences more so than painting minis. So maybe I'll stick to that
Yep.
and just take up the other two. I'll let people with I guess the time investment for painting minis I think would be one of the things that also gets me a bit stung. But yeah, look, I do appreciate some really good. We've actually seen some really good like in box skirmish or mini war games and that have been coming out, and there's been some really excellent games coming out. Shout outs to Sudden Impact. Sudden Conflict is the game. And I can't quite remember the name of the studio. Oh well. But yeah, no, I played some really cool war games recently that have been just awesome.
Yeah, well, the
Um,
trick is get yourself a 3D printer, and then it suddenly becomes it doesn't matter if you do a bad paint job because you can just print another one for 30 cents and try again. So
yeah,
I
that's it.
started that for D&D. I do a lot of D&D minis for my thing. Like, oh, I'll print these and paint these. I'll use these a bunch. You use them once for that one fight, and then they go on the shelf, and then you never have a reason to get that particular type of creature down again.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a slippery slope into painting stuff because, again, it doesn't matter. It's on the table for your home group for 30 minutes of a fight, and then it goes away. So it doesn't matter if the paint job's not perfect. It's just, it's there. It's better than having a bit of, a coin or a counter to represent the monster.
The last one I did had a salt shaker, and I was like, "This feels big
Mm.
enough." Like, it kind of it's fun to have those like just home lab style like map states. Like I was playing with some friends and we weren't all playing in the same place. We were playing online, so I was just streaming from the camera to the table, and I had like I said, a salt shaker, like a couple of like a lip balm, other little minis from like other games and just stuff spattered around. I'm like, this is the most botched map I've ever done, and I loved it. Like especially when people
Yeah.
forgot what the name was called. Like I'm attacking the salt shaker.
Yep.
Oh, it was good. It was good. I really like so the transition that you talk about is something that we hear a lot about. Like that retail market space is just is so much harder. I'm not going to hold you to it or expect anyone out there to say like, yeah, this is going to be the exact reason why. But do you have any inklings, feelings, reasons you think as to why that might be the case?
It's, I think, again, I remember chatting to one of the creators out there about where their primary sales came from. And they said for them, their main sales are online. And a lot of people echoed, yeah, I get lots of sales online. That's where I get a thing. Can't get anywhere else. Conventions and online in store and stuff like that is rubbish. Whereas I've had a bit of an opposite thing. I get
Okay.
bulk of my sales Kickstarter first, probably, but then conventions. I get a lot more sales from conventions because when people can pick up a book and they're walking around Comic Con or Supernova or something like that, and they just see a lot of art stores or 3D printed stores and stuff like that, and then suddenly they find a D&D store and they're like, hang on, D&D books? They always want to come over and have a look. But picking up a physical D&D book and flicking through it, even if they have no intention to play the game, a lot of people pick it up because this is a great idea to get some ideas or something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And I can generally find people love just picking up the books again because they can physically touch them. Whereas if it's online store, there's a lot of stores out there selling tabletop RPG books. It's hard to get yourself stand out from the rest of them. But if the people are standing there in front of you and they've got the book in their hands, they go, oh, it's only $20 for an adventure. Yeah, I'll take it, type of thing.
Yep.
I don't know, but I think people's convention budget is very different from their day-to-day budget, so they're more willing to pick stuff up there. So yeah, I find conventions are probably my second biggest seller, and then online sales are distant third.
Okay.
So it's again, I'm not sure why, but that's how it tends to work for me.
Okay, okay. I can totally see, especially when you say like going into the supernovas and that, like you would be because you're not like a tabletop game or something that you can I mean, you could do a session of like through your adventure, like the first like half hour of the adventure that you've written as like a table play kind of deal, but then you wouldn't be off selling the rest of the gear, like the rest of the books that you have. So I can understand like as just a approach, it is a very different thing to see. We see like in the art space, there's a lot of the character style art artists that turn up to these events, and there's a lot of variety and a lot of talent out there, but it is all in that same avenue of like if I'm like I'm not interested in making character art or having my characters be arted because I only do one shot, so I do stuff that doesn't really have like a normal human personification, then it sort of just falls flat. So having that standout is really good. I can understand how you're finding that success, and I don't want to generalize and call out our fellow 30 to 40-year-old males, but you're in that theming as well. And even though the scene has become so much more diverse, and we love that for it because more people get to play and enjoy the games that we make, that original audience is still very prevalent there. So you're hitting that mark really well. And I can understand how you would find that success there compared to potentially other designers and creators. So yeah, that's great.
Like I found a lot of the artists in my books from conventions as well. So it's really cool to walk around and chat to these people and have the approach them. I picked up a lot of artists from that. But it's also interesting. A lot of our books we try and do a bit of diversity and stuff in it too. So people walk up and they think, okay, it's more sword and sorcery. We tend to avoid the chainmail bikini stuff as well if we can. But like
Yeah,
we've
we
got
appreciate
you
that.
begin in a you begin in a tavern, and it's the whole premise of the adventure is you start the tavern, but you never leave it. You got 18 hours broken into different time blocks. You throw more quests at the party than they can possibly complete, and they depends on which quests they do and don't complete. Depends how it affects the final fight. And
Okay.
some of those quests are, go and deal with the rats in the cellar. But another one is you got a whole bunch of warlords in poetry group, and you need to go in and entertain them and join the poetry group. Or you've got the crazy cat lady in room 303 has lost her cats. So throughout the whole adventure, you're constantly finding these cats in random locations and stuff like that. And when you start talking about that to some of those people out there, they go, okay, this is D&D, but not like I've seen it before.
Mm,
This is not just
mm.
going and slaying orcs and stuff. And there's still some of that in there too. Don't get me wrong. But we found it that generally picks up a lot of people who go, oh, I've played D&D once with my husband, or I've played D&D once with my roommate and stuff like that. And they start reading this stuff and they go, oh, this looks like a lot of fun. So again, it's crazy. You talk about what you think your typical market is, but it's so much more diverse. There are a lot of people out there playing D&D now, and a lot of that can be attributed to things like Critical Role
Yeah, yeah.
and Dimension 20 and all that type of stuff. It's definitely got a much bigger reach at the moment. So it is fascinating to see the diversity of different people that are getting into the game, which is great.
I think your tavern adventure is probably one of those. When I read through the little blurb that you had online, I didn't really get that sight of having so many like options all at the same time. But I love that for it sort of breaks away from the classic don't split the party. Like it
Mm.
really allows people to take, one or two people who are good at like finding cats or reciting poetry. Like it doesn't feel like you're going to have like three to four people just standing there doing nothing in encounters or things that you're doing that just don't fit their character archetype. And you're allowed to like, you'll have like a point where people aren't doing anything because it's not their scene or whatever. But I think with just the flavor and like every person who's going to turn up to each scene is going to be doing what they're really good at. So the vibe at the table is going to be like success after success. When it fumbles, it's like it hurts really bad because that's someone's like that's what they do. Like they
Mm.
recite poetry, they find cats. Like it brings that like the strength of like characters across the table, so everyone gets to feel that goodness, but again, not tied away into something they're just going to sit there and do nothing with. I really like
Yep.
that. It's not something I think I've ever seen done really well, but I am willing to put like to put my word on saying that that would be an amazing system, especially for teaching someone as well. Like that's one of the things that I've learned over my time with reading so many role playing games is the book that you give them is not just this is how you learn to play this adventure or do this thing. It's also a reference book for later. So finding and having like so well sectioned off mini quests inside the tavern means that you can guide people to new mechanics that like helps them learn their character for the first time, and allows them to learn how to be the best part of their character, so they know where they sort of sit in the party role format. That's really interesting. I would love to.
Yeah, and
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, as a DM, you can guide people to that. You know what your party is. You know how the players are like as well. If you've got someone that's really into that poetry, you make sure that there's a reason that poetry quest comes up.
Yeah.
If you've got a group that's not really combat focused or doesn't really enjoy combat, then you just steer away from the combat encounters. You really have those options out there.
Mm. How many like little side quest bits and pieces to get distracted by the GM? How many of those are there in the book as a total?
So I think there's 28 main quests
Wow.
and about 16 side quests. So the side quests can kind of be thrown in everywhere, anywhere you want. But the main quests are kind of like those are the ones that affect the end encounter because we have like a big fight that happens at daybreak.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the one that kind of like if you do this quest then this happens. If you don't do this quest then this happens. If you find all the cat lady's cats, then she appears out of a window and starts distracting the end monster at the end. So it's like you actually get that throwback and that reward for helping out or for
Mm.
doing stuff like your choices make a difference. So to kind of lean into that whole is it telltale games type of thing, such and such will remember that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it kind of gives it a bit more context or a bit more feeling to what happened. Sorry, 17 primary quests, 9 side quests. That's what it was.
That's still heaps. That's so many. Like that's
Yeah.
so much to go through. Yeah, that's awesome. I think I want to grab that just for like I have a bunch of people and friends who have always wanted to play a role playing game, and it's always a real it's an art form, honestly, to reach that gap of like, well, you don't have to read the entire PHP. I'm not going to make you do that to just come
Hmm.
and sample what like this thing is that you know that I really enjoy and you've seen on the internet with like Critical Role, like you say, Dimension 20. There's so many like content creators in the D&D space, influencers. There's just so much out there just for 5e that it's kind of hard to avoid people wanting to just like dip their toes in. So having something that facilitates that, I'm super excited to see and try out. So I think you might have made a sale on from me here, at least for that, because that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one that was pitched. It came together out of a brainstorming session with my wife and myself. And the more we thought about it, with more like there is definitely something here, and
Mm,
it just lands every time we tell someone about it at a convention. Like, oh yeah, I've got to try that.
yeah.
So yeah, it does really well. And you talk about trying to teach new players. I think, like you said, everyone's heard of Dungeons and Dragons. They might be
Yeah.
willing to give it a shot. And I've got a bunch of friends that I brought in from that, Critical Role or Stranger Things or other things like that. They've heard about it, so they'll come and give it a shot. And then after a few sessions, they get a hang of it. But I've also been able to then pivot from that. And we've run games of Good Society and
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu and other stuff like that's very different from what they're used to. But my God, do we laugh very hard at Good Society? It's a fantastic Australian game. And we
Yeah.
just got to play all those really pompous people from their regency eras. And it was great fun. But these people would never have agreed to do that. But with that stepping stone of D&D, like, you know what role playing is? This is just non-combat. You just get to go into all the social encounters only type stuff.
Mm,
So,
mm. I think
yeah.
that's the big thing for D&D, and what I really like about how they've, I guess, reopened after the SRD, the Creative Commons debacle they had a few years ago. Just opening the door, because like to me, D&D is just it's a high fantasy sandbox role playing game, which is great because it doesn't. When I bring it to somebody new, like, oh, what's the setting? Do I need to know anything about the lore or the world? I'm like, nope, not at all. Not at all.
Yep.
What you see on screen, so when we're talking about and playing the game, that's all that you need to know as far as narrative is concerned. I think one of the big hurdles that I've heard from people who want to get into games that have like a really dense or just like a lot of lore that builds the world and gives like inspiration and flavor for the game master can be like a thing that someone has to feel like they take on and remember, like they have to know this world back to front in order to like make good decisions, or like it sort of like influences how they approach the game. Then they might have to feel like they've got to learn mechanics as well. So yeah, I think that having something that is so just like, nope, you make what you like, and the game allows that in so many different ways. I think that's the good thing that I like about D&D. Um,
Yeah.
after, over
I,
the
I think
years,
as a
yeah.
starter, sorry.
No, go.
I think as a starting DM, we all I fell into that first several times. People ask me, we rocked into this town, we rocked into Fandelver, and what about this? And like, okay, let me stop, pause, and let me go check the wiki to find out what's happening in Fandelver. And you try and figure this out. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
your world.
yeah,
If you suddenly decide that ogres live in Fandelver, then ogres live in Fandelver. No
yep,
one's going to hold you accountable for that. That's what it is.
yeah.
You just got to roll with it, and then try your best to remember it when it becomes important 30 sessions later.
Yeah, that's the hard one. Make notes. GMs, make notes.
Yeah.
Jeez, I have fallen for that trap too many times. Or record your sessions if you're doing online. We'll circle back a little bit. You talked a little bit about like not wanting to move into retail, and by that I assume you mean like the brick and mortar space. Which honestly I don't think I've ever seen any additional resources for D&D that weren't like official books. I haven't seen many, or I don't think any, honestly, in retail books, in retail stores. But your solo journaling games, what would stop you from wanting to put those in, say, any chain, single store, in brick and mortar?
So it's not a matter of not wanting to do it. It's a matter of cost when it comes down to it. If I'm doing print on demand, my print costs are quite high. And when you're doing sales to brick and mortar, you have to do it at wholesale price because they need to make money too. They got rent to pay, staff to pay, and things like that. So your
Hmm.
margins become paper thin. That said, I am stocked in 2 stores here in Perth, in Tactics and in
Congrats.
Rabble Books and Games. They said margins are very thin, but there's something so cool about going into your local bookshop and actually seeing your own products on the shelves. So both of those guys are really supportive of local indie ones. I was just got back from Melbourne last night. I actually met with a couple stores over there that were very keen as well. So
Amazing.
if you know where to go, you can find them. In Melbourne, I wish you visited it a couple of times because my son's a big gaming fan too, so we went to Mind Games in Melbourne.
Yep.
They have shelves and shelves and shelves of additional TTRPG books, including a whole bunch of 5e compatible books. So you just got to know where to look. But yeah, in Perth, Rabble and Tactics are amazing. Tactics has been a cornerstone of the gaming community here for 40 years. They've got 2 entire aisles of just RPG books, including a bunch of add-ons to 5e, and they've got every other TTRPG. If you've heard of it, you can get it. They've got it, so
Wow.
they're really cool. But like I said, that's all right for local, where I can do the print and do the shipping and delivery myself. But if I'm starting to look elsewhere, by the time you factor in shipping and every other cost, you're lucky to break even. So if you want to do it for the love of having your product out there, that's fantastic. But until you can start to do print runs of 300 or 600 or 1,000 books, your margins aren't at the point where wholesale makes a lot of sense, unfortunately.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially like I said, print on demand, like you're doing ones and twos, like that's as expensive as you're going to get as far as like printing anything is concerned. Yeah. Yeah, it's something we hear quite a bit, like, and like always good to get fresh perspectives, even if we get the same answer. Like, it is always good to have more than one person. Like, it's a like evidence based. When we have more people who are sort of saying or saying the same thing, it really helps, I guess, pass that information on. And that's sort of the core of what we're trying to do here. Like, obviously, we want to talk about cool role playing games and what you guys do. Like, very excited about a lot of the games that you're bringing together, but it's also like that, how's the experience? Because we find that there's a lot of great content out there about how to make games, but the nuts and bolts of how it all comes together is sometimes a little bit lacking. And it can be from like a single perspective, which is hard to say is like, yes, this is the golden truth of how the experience is going to be for me, because everyone's experience and journeys is so different, especially with crowdfunding being that like surge or sink kind of environment. Like it definitely has been not like a super consistent thing that I see. Everyone's always like absolutely killed their campaign goals. So good to hear from you in that perspective.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of it comes down, if you're a game designer trying to get into it, the business side of it is not talked about a lot. There is some resources out there, but no one tells you how to do your spreadsheets for your Kickstarter, how to get your art ethically sourced and affordably sourced, and all that type of stuff, how to do layout. And there is more resources coming out there, but your best bet is collaboration. Find someone else to work with on their product or with your product the first time, and failing that, there is some really good Discord communities out there. The Australian Role Playing Arc Collective guys, they have a partners channel, and that was super helpful. Still is. A lot of people like myself jump in there and go, "Hey, I'm having a weird issue with how do you ship to Azerbaijan?" man. They goes, oh, sure, no, I know this. When you do that, you need to make sure you do this, this, and this to get there. Or it's all those weird questions that people just don't think about. Like if you're suddenly doing Kickstarters and you're shipping worldwide, VAT tax, how do you deal with that? If you're
Yep.
shipping into Europe and if you decide to add dice to your product, you've got to worry about a whole bunch of, technically now it's a toy, it's not a book anymore. So you need to get
Okay.
it checked by a whole bunch of, there's a regulatory authority over there to make sure you get the appropriate signage on it and the dice are non-toxic, and you've got to put the right labels, choking hazard labels and all that type of stuff you don't think about. It's all right if you're selling at a convention, but if you're trying to ship it internationally, it becomes a real nightmare for you and you can get stung if you're not careful. Things about how to set up a company in Australia and how to deal with all the legalities behind it. If you can't afford to go and pay a lawyer to do it, you can get a lot of good advice. So find your community, and people are generally very helpful. There's a saying, particularly in this industry, is a rising tide floats all boats, which means that if I help you get your book out there, it's not going to take away from my sales, because what it does do is gets more people involved in the hobby, which generally lifts us all up. Um, yeah, we're never going to beat Wizards. They're always going to have the cornerstone of the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
But as indies, we can uplift and help each other out. I've had people come to be like, yeah, your stuff's really cool. It's all real high fantasy, but I'm after a grimdark setting. Okay, go talk to the Ghostfire guys. They do some
Yeah.
really cool grimdark
Yeah.
stuff. Or
Oh yeah. Grim
um,
Hollow is
I'm
good. Really good.
Yeah, exactly. Or I don't really want to play 5e. I want to play this. Okay, I talk to these people. They're Melbourne based, or these people are Brisbane based, and they've got some really cool games. You just help each other out, and it only helps. So Australia's got a really good, helpful community. No one's kind of clutching their secrets to their chest and going, "No, I'm not going to tell you." Everyone's really happy to help each other out.
I think that's one of those big things that was like a light bulb moment for me when I got approached to help out and start Indieverse. Was that when I got approached, like I stayed away from social media because I thought it would take up a lot of my time and mental space for many years. And when I came back to it, there was a lot of that people wanting to reach out to you individually, and like every single person was like trying to take me to their corner of the internet. And then I saw the idea of like the marketplace it having that same effect as like a con. Like having done two events now where we're supporting and selling the games that we support from creators that we have across the country, there's such a amazing experience of like when you like, oh, I don't have a game that might suit you, but I know that this person is here and they make this game that does something right up your alley. And then that vendor comes along and they'll come to you like 5-6 hours later and they'll say, hey, someone sent me to you, thanks so much. Like there's that level of like camaraderie that comes from just like knowing the environment they're in, the people that are in the space. And that's the kind of environment we want to build as well. Like I think by just nature of us being in such a space where there's only the independent creatives who are looking to sort of do that, I want to make something of this. I don't want it to be like a free or pay what you want sort of thing. And I don't want to be competing with, from what I've heard from Drive-Thru, there's a lot of AI generated stuff on there now because I don't know if they have like a policy for it or if they just don't uphold that policy. I'm not sure what happens in that space, but apparently that competition can be pretty rough at the moment. It's obviously a lot cheaper and easier and more consistent to get stuff out very quickly when you have something else doing that work for you. And then there's obviously the commentary of the art and that, but we could have many hour conversation just about that topic alone. So we'll steer clear of that one for now. So yeah, us having a space for people like that to share, like I think the way that we see it is when you promote yourself on what we bring to the table with Indieverse, is like all you're doing is bringing the attention to not just you, but to other people who sit at the same sort of like wanting to be like a business oriented game creator. You want to do this full time. You want this to be what you do because you love it. Like hell yeah, you should be able to do that. But also like every piece that you put out helps someone else prop up just a little bit, even if you don't directly give them something like a lead to another game that they might like. Just having somewhere where you can get high quality stuff from people who really want to put in that effort. That was really like an epiphany moment for me when I saw my first convention and made that recommendation. We didn't even have a table, and I was like, oh, just listening to someone have a conversation with a vendor, I'm like, oh, you like this? You have to check that person out, and it just hit me. And I can tell just from the experience that you've just shared that like you've had that as well. Like there's that community building space it's just amazing. It like fuels you for the whole day, the whole weekend, even when you're 10, 12 hours deep a day. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, conventions are one of the biggest draw cards to stay in doing this. And I love writing the books and all that, but I love conventions. They're my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Perth doesn't have a lot of them, but they're just so much fun. And even some of the smaller ones, there's a small event in Bridgetown, which is a town south of Perth by a couple of hours, 3 hours south of Perth. They call Winterfest, which is a big D&D weekend where they just play game after game all weekend. There's a small, tiny little vendors hall that goes there. There's about 6 or 7 vendors in it, and we just hang out all weekend and sell our stuff. And it's so much fun because it's all session based over there. There's ups and downs. Like in between sessions, we all get busy, and then it gets real quiet in between,
Yeah.
and we just chat and laugh and have a good time. And again, I love all that type of stuff. Right from that through, haven't tabled myself at PAX, but I've helped out the tabletop or TGDA guys, which are like the tabletop gamers of Australia. And they've got a booth there, which some of my stuff's stocked at, as well as a whole bunch of other things. And it's the same thing. You stand there and like people walk up to you and what's this all about? Like, these are all games made here in Australia. What type of games do you like? Oh, I like puzzle games, or I like, Euro games. Like, okay, go check this game out. This is really cool. I've played this, or check this one out. Or this is a hide and seek game for cats, or this one you play dwarf nobles leading against incursions against your space, or there's some you like map making from the cartography guys, or there's just so many cool little Aussie games, and people are just genuinely excited to hear that Australians are making stuff too, and it's the
Yeah.
same type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
just good
great.
fun.
Yeah. I can't get enough. Like we're heading to Tabletop Con in just over 2 weeks, and I'm just like seeing the creators that I haven't seen for 12 months or like maybe 6 months, even like 2 or 3. Just going there and just seeing how their creative journey is going, how their games are coming across, if they're working on something new, like just that before all of what you've just said is like that just it makes the events the best part of what we do, like hands down. Like even if we get to a point, I feel that we wouldn't have to do events and go do the thing that we're doing at the moment. I'm like, I still want to. Like, I still want to. And there's that beautiful thing. Like, I worked in sales for 20-ish years in different capacities. And honestly, my favorite time to be doing anything in a sales environment is when I'm face to face with a person who has either a problem or they want something and they're like excited about what you're bringing to the table. And tabletop games is like no matter who comes to the booth, everyone finds something that like, oh, that's interesting, especially when it's something just off like what they've had in every other experience. Like I could list the games that we have that are like it's like this major game you've played, but it does this differently that makes it so much better. Like it's just that like, you see the light bulb go off in their head. You're like, ah, yes, I know that you have seen the experience that I would like you to have at the table, and it's amazing. Like regardless of like role playing games, tabletops, it's just beautiful. It is awesome.
Yeah, and there's something really special. I think the real magical moment, that like light bulb moment you talked about, was when I had someone come back to my booth going, "Hey, I bought all this stuff last year. Have you got anything new?" I'm like, "Oh, actually, I've got this book." And he goes, "But I ran this adventure and this room with the smoke dragon." I'm like, "Oh, the smoke dragon!" And like, yeah, that was such a cool moment. Like just hearing people actually run my content, it was mind blowing. Like, yeah, I make the books and sell them, and in the back of my mind, like, in theory, people have these books, they're gonna be running the games, right? But actually hear the stories from the table. There was a group called Corsairs Cove that actually
Yeah.
streamed Blood Moon Bay online for the whole way through. He
Oh,
modified a few bits and pieces, but it was so unreal because I literally had on my screen, I was writing other books and listening to them play my game and actually change and convert it, and just these subtleties to it, hearing voice these characters and stuff. It is unreal. The something you've written to have been brought to life by someone else, and you can sit there and watch it. It's phenomenal. I think at the end of the campaign, one of the characters ended up writing a song about one of the fights and performed it on the stream, which
oh
was
wow.
it's just amazing.
You can't put like a dollar value or like there's nothing that's gonna top that. Nothing like
No.
yeah, you can't replicate that either. It's not like something that you've asked for. It is just someone who genuinely loves what they've had from what you've brought to the table, that they're going to make something else for it. Like that's amazing. Especially like even and some people might not enjoy the fact that someone's like changed the work that you put together, but I honestly think it's like it's testament to like how easy and flexible it is to just like bring in new things. It inspires you. It shows that like someone actually has read through, cared enough to be like, this doesn't quite fit in, so I'm gonna make some adjustments. Like that's so good. Like having someone take such a deep look and understanding of what you put out there. That's gotta feel awesome.
Yeah, I love the idea that they changed it. I mean, they played it as a bit of a Humblewood game, so they're all anthropomorphic creatures and stuff. So of course things had to change to make that fit into their setting. And it's like it was just so cool to see it happening. It was it was just really cool.
Oh man, I even just hearing about it like proxy by proxy, like I'm like that's exciting. Like I get excited hearing about that stuff because like the hobby for me, like my main game type is role playing games, and I love
Mm.
hearing the stories. Like I could sit around, and it has happened a couple of times where playing with friends, and all we've done is talk about like what we've done in other role playing games. Like the first hour that we turn up together, it's just great. It's that sharing stories that like it's like a core part of like us as the human race. Like storytelling is an art as old as time. It's so good. It's so much fun. You hear the best stories and some of the worst stories as well. Oh, all right. So we'll that's as far as our main questions go, but we have one burning one that we like to ask everybody. So we'll take it back to day one. You're rocking your newborn to sleep. You decided I'm going to make a thing. I'm going to put it out there, see how it goes. If you could take one piece of knowledge, not a conversation, it's just going to take a piece of knowledge and implant it into your brain on that night, sleep deprived, rocking a newborn, what would it be?
I think it comes down to just do it. When it comes down, you've got this great idea, you want to make it a thing, but you don't know where to start. Just start, put pen to paper, keys to document, whatever it might take, and put it out there. It takes a hell of a lot of courage to hit that submit button the first time. And I can tell you right now, your first one's never going to be perfect. You're never going to make it, platinum sales off it or anything like that. But you know what? It's out there. You'll learn a lot from it. And then you can make it better the next time. And the time after that will be even better again. But you've got to get the first one out there. And the first one again, don't make it your Magnus Opium. Don't make it the child of all your dreams type of thing to your best book ever. Just get something out because the rest will come with the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think no matter what it is that you're doing, just doing it and like getting the reps in just to get the muscles, whether it's like mental, physical, whatever you're doing, just getting out there and do it. That's great advice for life, I think, just in general. Yeah.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Glenn, for joining me today. See, I didn't go Gavin. You can't get me, audience. I didn't say it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Glenn. It's been a real pleasure. Just chatting roleplay games, how you've come into the scene, and I'm fanboying a little bit about the beer brewing and the adventure at a tavern. I think, I think I'm gonna have to get those at some point very soon. Did you have anything that you're working on at the moment that you want to shout out, and anything you want to tell the community, people out there? It's your time to shine.
So so like I said, we've got our online store up now. We'll be on Indieverse very soon. We've got one product there, and I hope for the rest to follow in the next week or so. Lands of Pure Imagination has just launched, which is our children's solo journal and adventure book mentioned before. And we are looking to launch a Kickstarter within the next couple of months, which will be a sequel to Vendors of the Veil.
Ooh.
It's currently going through editing and the final wrap ups and bits and pieces now. So we'll hopefully be able to share more about that very, very soon.
Lovely, lovely. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. We will have links to everything that Glenn is doing at the moment and sending through. They'll be down below in the description. Hope you've enjoyed jumping on today. I've had a great time. Thank you again so much for jumping on. So we are Indieverse, like I say, start and end every video. We are as far as I know, only indie tabletop marketplace out there that's trying to just make a space for indies to show off and sell their amazing products, like brewing beers and adventures in taverns and everything else that you've got going on. So we really appreciate every designer who comes on board. It's been a great journey. We're heading up to TTCon if you catch this one when it's fresh off the presses in the next couple of days. So come say hi, come see us, and I think that's everything. No, check out the other stuff we've made. We're making roleplay game reviews with the lovely Nicholas Rabinia from Raven's Ridge. We're interviewing for crowdfunders, so there could be some cool stuff that you might still be able to get on the post crowdfunding or still might be in campaign. So have a look at the other spaces we live in. Join us on their socials and that. We'll have all the links down below. You know how it works on YouTube, guys. And that's me. I have been Dylan, joined by the lovely Glenn. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.